Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today I'm going to be doing a video on the Mark IV and going through some of the changes that we have planned for this. Here's all the order from Stainless Bros. So this is typically where I order all my stainless steel material for making exhausts. They have really good prices and excellent shipping. This all arrived in, I think, 3 days. So we got a 4-foot chunk of 3-inch stainless. We have 4 packs of pie cuts. I'm lazy. I don't like cutting my own pies. I'll pay the few extra bucks for somebody else to do it, and they'd be nice and ready to weld. We also got 3 packs of V-band assemblies, a new muffler. Typically in the past I've used MagnaFlow mufflers, but I'm going to try out the Stainless Bros one this time and see how it sounds, and worst comes to worst, if I don't like it I can cut it back out and change it, but I figured I'll give it a shot. And I bought this 90-degree mandrel bend that I'm going to make an exhaust tip out of. So the car had dual tips before, and I've always gone back and forth on whether or not I like dual tips, single tips, or like turn downs that are hidden. And I think for this I want to do a turn down tip and then put a non-exhaust cutout valance on the car and get it painted so that it matches, it's color matched to the body of the car, and then I can just hide it, and I think it'll make the rear end look a lot cleaner. This exhaust that came off was a 42 Draft Designs exhaust. That was my high school graduation present. So this was bought new in 2015. It's seen a lot of Pennsylvania winters, and the salt was not kind to it. So this is also a 2.5-inch system, and what I'm going to be putting in is a 3-inch system. So hopefully that sounds good. But if you've noticed, this isn't quite enough material to make an entire exhaust. Like, that's a 4-foot section of stainless, and this is already about 2.5 or 3 feet long that I'm going to have to switch out. So what I don't have right now is I ordered oval tubing from Stainless Headers Manufacturing. The plan with that is I'm going to make this section, which is what would go over the axle in this car, out of oval tubing. Trying to save some space, because obviously, like, this broke from hitting the rear axle for several years. So I'm trying to gain back some space while going with a larger pipe size. So 3-inch oval is like 3.5-inch wide by 2 3/8 tall. So it's a little bit skinnier than that 2.5-inch round pipe. And I'm hoping that I can tuck it up as high as possible and avoid hitting the rear suspension. But I'm gonna crawl under the car real quick and show you guys, you know, how much space I have to work with and why I chose to do oval. You can see this is the section that you have to get the exhaust over top of the rear suspension. Obviously, like, the car's up on jack stands, so this is the most room that I'll have out of any situation. This car is lowered on BC Racing coilovers, so they don't droop like the full distance that they could because of how they're designed. But you can see with this poor tape measure, I only have like 4.5 inches, and that's at full droop. So if I tried to snake a 3-inch round pipe through here, I'd have, you know, 1/4 or 3/4 of an inch on each side, which, you know, is plenty when you're talking about exhausts, but it's not that much once you factor in that the suspension is going to compress as soon as I put this back on the ground. and it probably compresses 1.5 inches, so that is like 3 inches at that point. If I wanted to get more technical, obviously, like, I could put a jack underneath this rear beam and load the suspension and get like a true measurement, but I just know that I don't want to try and snake 3-inch tubing through here, so I'm going with oval. There's really not any standard manufacturer that is selling oval exhaust for these vehicles. For whatever reason, like, everybody just makes round. So I'm gonna do this a little different, and you know, obviously oval tubing has a different sound, but we're gonna see how this works out, and worst comes to worst, like, I end up remaking it, like, if I don't like how it sounds. So I'm gonna get back out from underneath the car and explain to you kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to be reusing the catalytic converter section. I could buy a new one. These are like $190 because they're just universal cats. So if welding to this old crusty catalytic converter does not go well, I'll go that route. But what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm going to lop this flange off, so get rid of that, and then I'll take one of the V-band assemblies, weld it here, weld the other portion to that chunk of stainless tube, but I'm gonna, you know, chop it wherever it needs to be chopped to basically match where this portion ended up when it was in the car. Then put another V-band on the end of that wherever it falls, which would match the transition of the over the axle section. Then I'll use pie cuts to get through this curve, and then I'm gonna get a round to oval transition, use that here, and then I have oval pie cuts that I'm going to use to recreate this bend section, because really this should have been, well, it's hard to do. It's hard to show you guys with this just laying on the floor, but regardless. And then I have more oval pie cuts in the other direction to like go up and over the rear beam, and then we will take somewhere in this section, when it used to go all the way to the muffler, it'll transition back to being round, and I'll put a V-band on the very end of that, and then I'll go to my muffler. I'll use some leftover round tubing to, you know, space it wherever I need to space it, and then just put a nice slash cut through there and somewhere. It'll probably take some trimming to get it how I want it, but I'll just use that as an exhaust tip, and that's the entire plan for this exhaust. So yeah, hopefully I'll get my stainless headers order within the next week. I ordered it about 5 days ago now. It's been processing for a bit, but they did say that they have longer lead times because of it being race season. So hopefully it's not super slow. Like I said, I have a deadline for the end of April, so I have time. I have a little bit that I can work on until that stuff arrives, just to get prepared. But yeah, the next video that I'm going to be doing will be testing out my Eastwood TIG 200 TIG welder. I finally have everything set up to weld, so I just have some scrap steel laying around that I'm gonna clean up and just try to see how well I can lay a bead down with this machine. It's been a while since I've TIG welded, so it may be ugly, but that'll be the next video after this. And as always, thank you for watching, thanks for subscribing, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.